Okay. I think we're live right now. Pretty sure. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me? It's been a few days, right? I missed Monday. I wasn't feeling that great, and wasn't a good day, but we got through it. Doralicious, nice to see you. Death by Sloss, we can see and hear me. I hope that's a good thing. I hope you consider that a good thing. We got a lot to talk about today. As always, what I plan and what we actually talk about aren't always the same thing. I had a whole lineup today about what to talk about. Some men's and women's issues, some gender stuff, right? We were going to talk about Hezbollah and Israel and their conflict. But another interesting development has occurred today that is a little bit more up my alley. It's something I have a little bit more knowledge about, and it's something that, frankly, I was more interested in. So we're going to talk about that instead. Nidek, what's going on? Well, you're going to find out in a second. Dylan Bowser, that's a big wick on my screen. Oh, yeah, it's that big wick, always ready. Silverhand, hello. Ukala, hello. And this is a call-in show today, gang, so we are going to be taking your calls throughout the night, throughout the evening. We're going to be... you can call in and talk to me about whatever you like. Let me actually give you those links right now before I forget. So what you're going to do, I'm going to click this link. Okay. You're going to click the link. And you're going to accept the rules. And if, right, you're interested, I'll pull you in. And you can jump backstage. I'll pull you in and we'll talk. We'll discuss. It doesn't have to be about the topics of the day, but... well, it's something that I may not have much on if I hadn't researched it or looked into it at all. It may just be a shrug of my shoulders. No Cal Mike, new topic. Why does Wick always change topics on the fly? Because you know what? Things happen and it makes me want to respond. That's why. Let me just pull up for you the two things that are semi-related, and I'll explain why, that I wanted to talk about. First, we're going to pull up the issue that initially had me change the topic, right? Initially. And we're going to read this together, and we're going to talk about it. I don't know if you can see that quite well. Let me get it a little bigger for y'all. So this is a tweet I substantiated. This is true, right? The charges are going to be in quotes because they're not exactly charges yet. We'll explain what that means going forward. Ohio's a little different. So I'll just read the tweet and we'll talk about it. Cool. Charges were just filed against Donald Trump and JD Vance for their unsubstantiated claims about immigrants in Springfield, Ohio eating pets. The following charges were filed in Clark County Municipal Court: disrupting public service, causing bomb threats and public service disruptions, making false alarms, spreading false information that alarmed the community, telecommunications harassment, sharing false claims during debates, rallies, and on social media, aggravated menacing, intimidating immigrants, including threats of deportation to Venezuela, aggravated menacing, charge 2, falsely suggesting that the Haitian community in Springfield would cause harm. I'll scroll down a little for you guys. Complicity, conspiring to spread lies that led to criminal activity. The charges were filed by the leader of the nonprofit Haitian Brigade Alliance using a state statute allowing private citizens to submit affidavits alleging offenses. This is why they're not quite charges, to be clear, this last bold line, right? What happens in Ohio is they have a rule. And in this rule, anyone, as long as you sign an affidavit, can ask the court to look into a thing, and the court must investigate it. That does not mean that they have to press charges or follow through with it. It just doesn't have to happen, right? It's a slight deviation from normal prosecutorial discretion, right? Because prosecutorial discretion is a thing, okay? It's a thing that you can absolutely has. Just because you commit a crime doesn't mean the state has to prosecute you for it under normal circumstances. I'm sure there's differing laws in the books that have mandatory prosecution for certain things. Fair enough. But in general, as a concept, we have prosecutorial discretion. And this is actually a pretty good thing. It's a way for people to, like, I'll give you an example. Say that there's an incident where it's just clear-cut self-defense, right? Clear-cut self-defense, and someone ends up dying, right? The person who's assaulting the other person ends up dying. The state does not have to prosecute that death, right? Again, different states may have different rules, but this is a concept in general, please. They could say, well, no, there's no evidence that this was anything other than that. We don't really have to prosecute this. We're just not going to, right? Even though normally there would be an investigation for this, it's just super clear. Normal thing, okay? What Ohio does, though, is it takes that a step further and adjusts it a little bit. So, again, normally the state doesn't have to do anything, right? But in this case, if someone is willing, a private citizen is willing to file an affidavit with the court, they can force an investigation, but the state doesn't have to follow through with it. So it's a little bit of a difference there. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? What do we think? Before I give my opinion, and longtime Wick watchers can probably guess my opinion here, right? Before we get into my opinion, what, dear viewers, what do you think? Do you think that this is worthy of prosecution? Should Trump and JD Vance be prosecuted? Death by Slaw says, I don't understand the purpose of the affidavit. Is there a penalty for filing something false? I don't know if there's a penalty for filing something false in this case. Generally there is. Generally you get hit if you knowingly file false claims. You'll catch a charge for that, yeah. I don't know if it applies in this case specifically, but yeah. Testicle Johnson says, in this particular instance, the charges will never stick, nothing to prosecute, but still fuck them for lying. Fair enough. Doralicious says, worth having them answer for it if it doesn't stick, and then legislate later if we want, if possible. Leitner Goat says, the system rigged. Of course there won't be a penalty. Infallible Foul says, oh no, he's replying to someone, sorry. I'm just trying to get your opinion on it, okay? I'm trying to get y'all's thoughts on whether or not this is a good thing, a good move. Roll of the D says it feels like it should be illegal to say something that's wrong and harmful, be corrected, and then double down publicly. Interesting. Okay. Ian MNT on the YouTube side says yes. X says leftist lawfare is becoming an issue. Artemis Fowl says the case will be thrown out. Political candidates are protected from statements made in a campaign, even when knowingly lying. This has long since been protected. Okay. I guess this is the general consensus. Let me give you my thoughts here, okay? I think that while in this case it's not that dangerous, right? It's still a dangerous threat to free speech. As many of you said, there's no chance of this sticking, okay? Not going to be, for myriad of reasons, there's no way that this sticks, okay? To the arguments that would be needed to be made successfully in court to show that Trump should be responsible for the bomb threats and stuff that he's catching charges for here, right? Those same arguments could be used one-to-one to bring a lot of people under criminal prosecution for the comments they've made about Trump and Republicans, especially in regards to the assassination attempts against him, right? This is why we rightly, and I want to be clear here, those who are calling for prosecution of Harris because of her comments on Trump should be laughed at. They should be laughed out of the room. That's true. They should. It's not serious, right? There are degrees of separation here. That even if Harris was lying knowingly about the threat Trump poses to national security, right? She should not catch charges for that. She just shouldn't. Not criminal charges. Because there are degrees of separation here, right? Again, to my knowledge, and please correct me if I'm wrong, neither Vance nor Trump directed anyone to call in bomb threats, directed anyone to do any violence whatsoever to Haitians, right? This idea that they can catch charges for something someone else did that they didn't even ask them to do is dangerous. It's dangerous precedent. It will have a remarkable chilling effect on free speech, and free speech that we want to protect. So, for example, I think it's good if you feel that something is a threat to the United States. If you feel like, for example, if you feel like the Supreme Court of the United States is a threat to democracy, right? And then someone takes a shot at Alito, you shouldn't get charges pressed against you for that. You should be free to call what you think it is, a threat, right? You should, even if you're wrong, be free to say, I think the Supreme Court of the United States is a threat to democracy. I think it's bad. I think we should disband the Supreme Court. I think the Supreme Court's getting in the way of your human rights. I think the Supreme Court's going to block legislation or overturn legislation that's going to save lives, and therefore they are a threat to lives. I think you should be able to say that and not catch charges. Which brings me to the linked issue that I wanted to call out as well. So let's watch a little clip real quick. It's linked, and I'll tell you why. Because not everyone agrees with my take there, okay? There's a pretty prominent individual who disagrees with my take here. Now let's look at what he has to say. Oh, who is it? Oh, I know that guy. What's he got to say about this?
With left-wing nonprofits to inundate Pennsylvania communities, changing the character of...
Oh, no, that's the wrong link. Hold on. Give me a second. I fucked up. I got the wrong link. This isn't the one I want. Hold up. He says a lot of stupid shit. Let me get to the one I want. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is the right one. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. He looks the same in all of these, okay? Here's what this guy has to say.
They were very brave, the Supreme Court, very brave, and they take a lot of hits because of it. It should be illegal what happens. You know, you have these guys like playing the ref, like the great Bobby Knight. These people should be put in jail the way they talk about our judges and our justices.
I think that people should not be put in jail for criticizing the Supreme Court of the United States. Trump disagrees. This is why I think that Trump is one of the biggest threats to free speech in the United States. Democrats are trying hard to catch up to them, to be clear, based on what we saw today. So again, we got two back-to-back stories here. Democrats, right, or anti-Trumpers at least, trying to file claims against Trump and Vance for their speech. And then you got Trump making claims that people who speak out against the Supreme Court should be jailed, right? Let's just be clear. Neither side in this debate is good on free speech. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate that neither side are really good on free speech. They're both really shitty about it. It's really shitty. I thought it was a nonprofit suing Trump. Well, fair, but there are Democrats cheering it on. Roll of the D says, did he say playing out the ref like Bobby Knight? Yes. Yeah. Rizius says, the problem with free speech at the moment, people are using it irresponsibly, and it leads to free speech being less and less valuable to us. What does that mean by irresponsibly? Dylan Bowser says, we done know that since 2015, even earlier for Republicans. Jack Chick, anyone? Yeah, look, again, this isn't new either, but it bothers me every time I see it. Cameraman 502 for $5. I think he's referring to Senate White House openly threatening SCOTUS rather than just bog standard criticism like Schumer's whirlwind comments. The senior White House or the Senate White House? Are we talking senior White House? Link me what you're referring to. If you want to DM me, actually, or at least quote it here. Look, there is some free speech that's illegal, or not free speech, right? But there is there are exceptions to the First Amendment that we have codified in law, right? The Brandenburg test is what it's called. We can pull that up. We could read it. Trump and Vance's lies about Ohio and the Haitian immigrants there do not violate the Brandenburg test. They do not pass the Brandenburg test. I'm not sure the phraseology here, right? The Brandenburg test, what it is a set of circumstances under which, if these circumstances are met, then we can actually prosecute you for your speech, right? That it is no longer protected by the First Amendment. It is now illegal. This was decided by the Supreme Court in the Brandenburg case, right? Funnily enough. So we have now a test, right, that we use to apply, that courts use to apply. Let me bring that up for you real quick. Brandenburg test. Give me a second. I should have been more prepared, but like I said, this was a literally a last-minute change. So, yes. The Brandenburg test is a Supreme Court test that determines whether speech can be punished for inciting imminent lawless action. And there are two conditions: that the speech must be intended to incite or produce imminent lawless action. So you have to understand that the speech in question must be intended to cause people to break the law, right? So not just vote their way, not just vote against something that they want, because, again, voting isn't illegal. It's not. It's not an illegal, lawless action to vote, despite what some might want to make it, right? It's not. And clearly, Trump and Vance weren't in, again, unless you have evidence otherwise, in which case, please produce it. But I don't think either of them intended for lawless action to take place. Let's see. Frozen Knight says, how do you think that squares with defamation cases? Defamation aren't criminal in nature. They're civil. It's different. There are different standards. I'm talking about criminal prosecution. To be clear, this is what Ohio is trying to do, or the people filing the affidavit in Ohio are trying to do. They're not trying to sue civilly, which would be a different conversation. They're trying to press criminal charges, or at least get the courts to investigate on whether or not they should press criminal charges based on this. Very different. Very different. No, this is not civil. Ohio, the Ohio law is a little different, right? This isn't a civil issue, right? This isn't a civil case that they're trying to push. We'd have a different conversation under that, right? But no, these are criminal charges that are trying to be brought. We understand the difference? We get it? Do you think this would be a fair civil case? Yeah, maybe. They'd have a lot stronger of an argument. It'd be easier to prosecute. Defamation, slander, yeah, that's all on the table, right? I'm not going to pretend to know how that would go, but it'd be much more likely to actually get something done. But no, these are not civil charges. These are criminal in nature, right? This isn't a civil suit. Warpio asks, what if they can reasonably make the case that Trump and Vance are intentionally provoking disorder? I think what you're referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the charge of making false alarms and complicity. So, to be clear, again, making false alarms is one of the charges that they're looking to get them on. And also complicity. And complicity in that they are conspiring to spread lies that lead to criminal activity. What would the criminal activity be in question that you think that they were trying to provoke? Do you think that Trump and JD Vance wanted the bomb threats, for example? I don't think they did. If you could provide evidence, or if they happen to have evidence, right, that is different than that. Look, my position changes if they have actual evidence that JD Vance and or Trump had the intention to cause people to call in bomb threats, right? If that's what they intended to happen, if that was done by design in order to create that outcome, then the Brandenburg test is passed, right? They intended to cause imminent lawless action. But I don't think they do. I haven't seen any evidence that that's what they wanted, right? Oh, there are two categories, Zero Fox, right? There are matters. Zero Fox says there are matters of imminent and actionable that are not fulfilled. Well, yeah, because there's another requirement here, which is the speech must be likely to incite or produce imminent lawless action. So it can't just be intended. It has to have a chance of working. Now, I think that's an easier argument to make because they are the candidates for president and vice president, respectively, right? So if you can pass the first bit, the likelihood bit is pretty easy, in my opinion, to argue. But they can't pass the first one, the intent. I don't think they can get past that. I don't think they have any evidence. At least I've not seen any evidence that they have that would be the case. Occam's razor even shows that they're most likely what they wanted was to get people to vote for them, which isn't an illegal action. They probably wanted to do it in a way that reduced civil disorder, right? Because, again, that's kind of what they want to happen. But, again, that's just a Occam's razor reading. Warpio says, I think they just generally wanted civil unrest, which tends to lead to violence happening. So, if that's what you think, that's fair. Do you think that someone who believes that black people don't get a fair shake with the cops, right? And they think that the system isn't working and we need a new system. We need to get rid of that old system. And they want some civil unrest. They want some protests in the streets and stuff. And so they go out and they, again, just make true statements or statements that they believe to be true. And then they block traffic. Do you think that someone should catch a charge for that? I don't. I don't think they should catch a charge for that. I think that's why this becomes fraught. Again, we're not talking about a civil case. We're not talking about defamation or anything like that. I think that's a separate thing, right, that we can discuss. But when it comes to this case, it is criminal in nature. It simply is, right? That's what they're looking for. That's what they're trying to get. Now, again, I don't think that this is likely that they're going to. I don't think it goes anywhere, honestly. I think the judges take one look at it and then just kind of throw it away. I don't think there's any there, right? But there's a reason that they do these things. There's a reason. And I think that the people filing it know this. I don't think they're dumb. Rabid Wombat, thank you for the sub. 27 months. You're one of my longest viewers, sir. I think you started watching me when I first started streaming. That's crazy. I haven't driven you off yet. I have churn in my audience, by the way, gang. Because people go through phases with me. They start out probably disliking me a little bit, but willing to hear me out. Then they become fans for a while because I've picked a topic that they agree with me strongly on. And I tend to be very good rhetorically on my arguments. And then what will happen is we'll come to a point where we have a strong disagreement, right? Where I will say something that they just very, very much think is stupid or dumb or wrong. And then they'll just stop watching me. And this happens a lot, actually, because I'm not, despite what some might claim, a cheerleader for any side. To be clear, I do support Harris. I do support the Democrats, but I'm not here to cheerlead for them. I'm here to call balls and strikes as I see them, right? And people don't like that. There's this guy, okay? I don't usually do this, but I think it's worth in this case, right? Just for this topic here. Give me a second. I don't usually read YouTube comments. That's probably wise. But there's this guy, okay, commenting on my YouTube, and I wanna read the comment a little bit for you guys, and you guys can, and then I'll tell you why it bothered me a little bit, and you guys can comment if you like. So I won't say the guy's name. I've lost the here's the quote. I've lost a lot of respect for Wick the past couple months. I understand he always wants to take the moral high ground and try to keep the temperature down. However, the amount of charitability he's giving conservatives is insane. The last panel with Destiny with regard to Supreme Court packing displayed this, where he equivocated Harry Reid taking the nuclear option to stop the GOP's endless filibustering to McConnell's refusal to hear Garland's Supreme Court nomination by Obama. It's possible he's trying too hard to appease conservatives so that they'll keep coming to his debates. But come on, man, show some moral conviction. Dylan Burns is a liberal debate moderator, yet he's able to keep righties coming back to his panels without sucking them off. Man. Why do people think I should show a different level of charitability because someone has an R next to their name rather than a D? Why should I treat someone with less charitability simply because they're Republican? Why do we think Because I'll be real with you, gang. I'll be real with you. If I picked a side, it doesn't matter which side. Pro-Trump, anti-Trump, pro-Harris, anti-Harris, doesn't matter. Pro-Dem, pro-Republican, doesn't matter. If I picked a side, I would have double to triple the viewers I do now and make double to triple, at least, the money that I do now. Because people want warriors for their side, right? They want warriors. They don't want discussion. They don't want an exchange of views where we try to figure out the truth. They want a warrior, for someone to preach the things that they already believe to them. That's what they want. It's just true. So again, me not having moral conviction, or being accused of not having moral conviction because I try to hold both sides to the same standard that I give, or try to. I'm not perfect at this, to be clear, okay? But I try to give charitability to, yes, even Republicans. If that causes you to lose respect for me, there's the door. I mean, you're going to lose a lot of fucking respect for me. You just are. Because I'm not going to stop showing charitability to people just because you think that they're bad and evil. Frustrating. That's all it is. It's frustrating. And I'm frustrated at this too because I don't support Trump. I'm not voting for him. I'm voting against him. But I know because of my take here, because of my take on this case, this criminal case being brought against Trump and Vance, that there are going to be people who are going to use it and say, look at him, he's sucking off conservatives here. I'm not on Trump's side here. I'm on the side of free speech. I'm not on Trump's side. To the extent on which both parties are a threat to free speech, I will call them out. You guys want to know what I'm a warrior for? I'm a fucking warrior for free speech. So yeah, there's one thing. There's one issue. It's not my single issue. I will weigh it heavily, but it's not the only issue I vote on. It's not the only issue I take into consideration. But it is my issue, okay? Roll of the D says, I'm voting for Harris, and I really don't mind your take on this, Wick. Well, I appreciate you. I don't. No, that's a lie. I understand it. It's pretty easy to understand. Like people said, it's dopamine. They want to. This is not new. People want to be told that they're righteous. People want to be told that the feelings that they feel are the right feelings, and they're justified for feeling that way. And they're not wrong for feeling that way. In fact, they're right for feeling that way, and they should feel that way even stronger. Because, again, don't question it. Don't look into it. Just feel, baby, feel. Feel strongly. The righteous passion. The conviction. But that leads to disaster long term. That leads to disaster, especially if you end up being wrong. Just because you feel a certain way about a topic does not mean you're right or does not mean you're wrong. It doesn't. And as easy as it would be to call everyone who opposes you retarded, to call everyone who disagrees with you a liar, dishonest, they must be getting paid by the other side to have these views, that would be such an easy world, such a rewarded world to live in, for the short term at least. You will get praise. You will get accolades. You will, as a content creator, grow as long as you can meet some other minimum requirements as actually being entertaining, right? But it's gonna be a problem because here's a real truth. Here's the hard truth. Whatever side you're on, there's going to come a time when they are on the wrong side of an issue. That whether you're Republican, Democrat, third-party voter, doesn't matter what side, what you believe, what ideology you ascribe to, what team you pick, what group you're a part of, there will come a time where there is an issue on which your team is on the wrong side. For some, that comes more than others. I'm not at both sides are here. For some, there will come more than others. One of the reasons I'm a Democrat is because I think on most of the issues, most of the time, they are in the correct position. Most is the key word. And people forget that key word. And here, I can give you all my bona fides, all the actions I've taken to support Harris in this election, right? To support Biden, to support Obama, to support Clinton back when she was running. I can give you bona fides. I can give you doors I've knocked. I can give you houses I've called. I can give you promotions I've done. I can give you speeches I've made. I can give you rhetoric positions I've supported. I can give you a laundry list of that. It won't matter if I don't fucking suck down every single talking point from the Democratic side. I will be called a traitor and a Trump supporter or a Trump enabler. 99 out of 100 issues I can agree with Democrats on. But when it comes to that one, that's enough, gang. They'll call you a traitor. I see this in the flip, too. Republicans, don't get too comfy, right? You guys do it, too. I can watch an individual be conservative all his life, vote for the right all their lives, and one issue, one election, they decide, I think the Democrats have the right in this. They will get castigated. They will get cast out, and they will be treated as a pariah. So, again, don't get too comfortable. Yeah, no cow Mike, Liz Cheney, great example. Voted with Trump 99% of the time. But had a little bit of a disagreement on the whole overthrowing the government thing. So now she's a rhino. Yes, I'm aware it's more complicated. Yes, I'm aware. Yes, I'm aware it's always more complicated, but it's not really. Let's be real here. Look, a lot of people, most people, me sometimes too, to my detriment, when I fall into this trap, it's usually to my detriment, right? We will make a conclusion and then work backwards from that conclusion to justify why we think that's right. It's the opposite order of which things should go. We make a decision and then we justify that decisions afterwards to ourselves. Wick, stop morphing? What does morphing mean? Is that some kind of new kid slang I'm not aware of? Third rail with Omar says, Wick, Kamala Harris is running as a moderate Republican. No, she's fucking not. No, she's not. Morphing into Brianna Wu? What am I'm morphing into Queeman? I don't know which is fucking worse. To morph into Brianna Wu or morph into Queeman. I don't want to I'm Wick. I don't want to be anyone else but Wick. Wick is the only. The one, the only. Right? You guys, okay, enough. We won't be making these comparisons because it's weird. Man, oh man, I got a little into it. I get passionate about these things. I absolutely do care what decisions you make in life. Absolutely. But I think that how you make those decisions is just as, if not more, important than the decisions you make. How you get there, right? How you get to what you decide on doing matters. Process matters. This is maybe a brave take. Process matters more than results. Anyone can get a good result, even with a bad process, and they can cherry pick, right? They could cherry pick. They could be like, see, I jumped off that cliff that one time and I didn't die and it was super fun and I landed in a pile of money. That must mean that jumping off cliffs is good and we should all do it and we should do it more. Look at the big government telling you not to jump off cliffs. They're just lying to you. Anyone could do that, right? But the process of, hey, jumping off heights is probably a bad idea, stands the test of time. Over the long term, a good process, which may lead to sometimes a good result, sometimes a bad result, but a good process over the long term will lead to better results overall. That's why it's important not to base your decisions on a single result, but look into things in an aggregate, right? And again, process is important because a process needs to stand the test of time, because there will be people who try to test the process in order to manipulate it into getting a result that you may not find good, right? Rabid Wombat says, contraceptives benefit from good process. Fair enough. Look, I'm just getting triggered reading your comments. I'm just getting triggered reading your comments, Omar. You're saying dumb shit, and now you have to go pray? Fair enough, go pray. I'll call you dumb when you get back. Omar saying stuff like, Kamala Harris is watching MSNBC and the Lincoln Project. She thinks she's winning. Rizia says, exactly, the issue with left shifting of Wick is such a small scale compared to how people treat Kyle. Oh, are you guys having a conversation about Kyle? Kyle Rittenhouse? Why are we talking about Kyle Rittenhouse in chat? Do you guys even listen to my show? Do you guys even watch? Do you guys even watch my show, or do you just argue about whatever in chat, right? Why are we talking about Rittenhouse? What are we doing? I'm not switching sides. I'm saying that this lawsuit, or not the law, it's not, because it's not a lawsuit. It's criminal charges, to be clear. If this was a lawsuit, it would be different. If this was a civil case, it would be different. They might have a case, actually, right? But it's not. This is looking for the state of Ohio to investigate them to possibly file criminal charges against Trump and JD Vance for their comments on the Ohio pet stuff and the Haitian immigrant stuff. This sets such a dangerous precedent. Such a dangerous precedent. It's going to be you. Democrats do this all the time, and I hate it. They build the tools of their own destruction. They fashion the weapons that the enemy is going to use against them. And this is one of those cases. We don't want this to go forward because the arguments, first of all, so good news, I don't think it's going forward. I don't think anything's going to happen based on this. I think it's going to be thrown out. It's going to be thrown out. I don't think it's even going to be filed, actually, right? Other than that affidavit, right? I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So that's good news. I could be wrong, right? I've been wrong before on this stuff, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Okay? So that's good news. But here's the thing. If it does go somewhere, that's going to create a real dangerous precedent, because all it will take is someone to take a clip of, say, I don't know, Vosh, I won't use Destiny as an example. I've used him as an example before. Let's use Vosh as an example. Vosh, right, saying that all Republicans are out to get you, that they're all coming for your rights and they're going to destroy you and then take away your civil liberties, take away all these things. And then someone does something to Republicans, like, I don't know, takes a shot at Trump. In that case, gets 1-to-1, baby. Same arguments. The same arguments that the Democrats or the people cheering this case on would be bringing against Trump and Vance are going to be used against them. And I think that in neither case, should anyone catch criminal charges for any of this. It's not a criminal issue. It shouldn't be a criminal issue. If it becomes a criminal issue, our civil liberties are at stake here. Because I want to be able to call something that I think is a threat to the United States of America, I want to be able to call it a threat without worrying that I will catch a charge for doing so. I want to be able to call out Canadians. Fuck Canadians. Okay. I want to be able to call out fucking Canadians. To say Canadians are a threat to the United States. Because I believe that. And I don't think I should catch any fucking charges. I don't think I should be held criminally liable for it. But if Trump, right, catches a charge for his comments, it's possible that I will catch a charge for saying something like that. I don't think we should. Wick, are you blocking your callers? No, I'm not getting any callers. No one is calling in, so I'm ranting. It's a call-in show, by the way. FYI. Gang, if you weren't aware, today's supposed to be a call-in show. So if you have thoughts on this, if you disagree with me, or even if you really agree with me, please, please, please call in and we'll talk about it. I'm more than happy. Yes, I want callers. So I will give the link again for those of you who are unaware. Here is the Discord link. And if you're asking yourself, Wick, how dare you, right? Like, how dare you say this? I disagree with you. Please call in and we'll talk about it. And guess what, gang? I will show you charity regardless of whether you have an R next to your name or a D next to name, up and until you demonstrate that you aren't serious. Then I won't take you seriously, right? He has a call-in show and doesn't announce it. You know what? That's true. I'm not very good at this, Martin Cerny. Okay, that is true. I'm not very good at this. I did tweet about it, and gang, there's so much to talk about too. Did you guys see the? Let me find it for you. Hold on. Let me find it for you, just so you have more to call in about if you like. Here, give me a second. Give me a second. Let me find it. 1 second, please, please, please. Oh man, this is what I thought we were going to talk about most of today. Okay, it turned out not to be the case, right? But I expected this to be the issue that we were going to discuss. Turned out not to be the case. But if people want to call in about it, feel free. But here's the thing I wanted to discuss. Let's watch the clip.
But this Chud Logic guy, I called him a pedophile for, I think, more tangible reasons. He was horny texting an 18-year-old fan of his in his Discord. He was in his mid-30s.
An 18-year-old? My God.
They got on my ass saying the fact that she's 18 makes this chill, but even this guy knows it's weird for a 35-plus-year-old man to be talking like this to an 18-year-old. He's not a pedophile, he's a phoebophile, and a weirdo and a groomer.
What the fuck? I'm laughing because this is crazy. This is crazy. Adults doing adult things. Oh my God, you sick fuck. She was 18 years old. She was 18 years old. She's an adult. You might think it's weird. You might think it's uncomfortable. That's fair, right? It is a little weird. Fair. But you know what? I don't get to decide that. You don't get to decide that. The adults that are participating get to decide that. The adults that are participating get to decide that. And guess what, gang? Like it or not, when you are 18, you are an adult. So to say this is at all, what did he call him? Pedophile, ebiphilia, whatever the fucking word is. I don't even know. I'm not a libertarian. I don't know the exact right pronunciations here. Or a groomer for this? What is going on? What are we doing? $10 for Zephyr Hash. I was celebrating the potential lawsuit earlier, but thanks for showing me a convincing argument. Now I'm leaning towards it being a stupid idea. W. Wick. W. Zephyr. Changing your mind when you have information that changes your mind and not being stubborn is based. Joe Themig says Hebephile, oh, thank you for that pronunciation, is 11 to 14. Noah is a dumpster fire tanky hiding behind the guise of a progressive socialism. Look, here's the deal, gang. When you turn 18, you are given certain rights and certain responsibilities that you did not have before, right? You are subject in many cases to laws that you weren't before as an adult, okay? You can vote. You can join the military. You can do a lot of things, right, that you could not before. You also are subject to laws that you weren't before. Like you could sign contracts and things like that, right, that you have extra restrictions on if you're younger, right? 18-year-olds can legally do a lot of things that minors can't. One of the things that comes with that is the ability, not just the ability, but the right to make your own decisions about your sexuality, right? To make your own decisions on who you want to sleep with, okay? And the ability to sleep with people if you want, right? If Chud Logic was 100 years old, and this 18-year-old person wanted to sext with them, okay. It's not my business. It's not your business. I think it'd be weird. I think it'd be really weird. But it's their decision. My thinking it weird shouldn't have any bearing or impact into that. Anyway, we got a caller. Take a caller. Hello, you're live.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, I've been better, been worse, but here we are. What do you got for us?
Why are you doing bad, man? Look, the whole trying to press charges, it's all for publicity. If they actually file, if the charges actually get pressed, um, okay, whatever. Just add it to the list. You know what's actually really something that you would probably be interested in? I'm a Fetterhead.
Enlighten me.
I'm becoming a Fetterhead.
Feder fan? A Feder fan? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good.
Fetterman, dude. Fetterman's based.
I don't agree with him on all the issues, right? But
you don't have to agree with him on all the issues, but look, the issues that he's talking about, it's actually amazing, okay? Kamala Harris, she comes out and she says she's against the filibuster, and he's like, no. The filibuster is important.
To be clear, he supports Kamala Harris. So
he does, but he does not support ending the filibuster.
Sure, but the reason I'm putting that out there is to demonstrate how even supporters of someone can have a disagreement with someone they support, yet still support them. It's okay to voice disagreement with people you support. And
I'm far from a Democrat.
You're a traitor for doing that.
I'm far from a Democrat, and I will still praise a Democrat when they do good things.
That is
like when Fetterman opposed the sale of U.S. Steel to a Japanese company. I thought that was a base stance for him to have. Fetterman's grown on me. He's like a Tuma.
See,
He's
no, I get you. The one person actually this election cycle that have actually got grown a lot to respect, even though I still disagree with them on a whole heck of a lot, is actually AOC. She has been operating in a way that has shown a level of pragmatism and a level of being willing to work with people across the aisle that I didn't think she had in her, right?
well, it's because they showed her how they will drop her like most of the squad has already been dropped. I mean, look, she she was she was put to the test immediately. Nancy Pelosi sat her down and said, it's cute all this stuff you're saying, but no. And she fell in the line immediately. And so she moderated some and she became a more
That deserves
relevant
praise.
politician.
And it's
Yes,
one of the
she
reasons.
became more relevant because of
Yeah.
that.
And that's one of the reasons she's grown on me because, again, she said some crazy shit. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, I don't know about this one, Queen. And I thought, again, I thought for the longest time that she was just being performative, right? That she was just doing this performative song and dance routine things, that she didn't actually care about these things. But seeing her behavior over the last year and seeing her moderate her stances and actually do a good job in a lot of cases. Okay, no, I still disagree with you on a lot, right? On the Israel stuff and a few other things, but even on that, she didn't go like full bore super crazy like Rashida Tlaib did, right? Uh, so yeah, still a lot of respect, even though I don't agree with her on some things. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And look, I'm far from a Democrat. I don't think
we know,
I don't think you would ever
clearly.
accuse me of such, right?
I don't know, like there is a type of Republican who would call you a rhino if you spoke out against anything Trump did. There is a type of Republican who would do
I've
that.
spoken out tons against Trump, and I'm
Sure, and
full
there's
MAGA.
been people I'm
So,
sure who've called you a rhino because of that.
oh yeah, and I mocked them for it
Yeah.
and made fun of their penis. It's just who I am. I don't care. I'm not part of the cult. I don't have to
Mhm.
sit there and follow everything verbatim. The reason why I watch you, Wick, is because you're not Destiny. Okay, your Destiny has cucked himself to the point that if he ever goes too far out of the deal, most of his audience won't even listen to him. He's audience captured. He's useless as far as the sphere of ideas exist. He's inconsequential now, and the fact that he is kind of open to political violence
I
and things like that. He's shown who he is, and that's
I
why
still
many right wing
I'm gonna push back
commentators
you
won't even
against.
mess with him now.
I'm gonna push back against you. I think you're overplaying your hand. I would
I don't
agree.
think so.
I would agree with you that he's kind of. I think he's been worm tongued a little bit, right? I think that he's got people whispering in his ear, and he has become more extreme in some of his stances to a way that is his detriment. I absolutely agree with you there.
Yeah.
However, I do not think that makes him either inconsequential or totally lost. I still think that we can bring him back. Okay, I
Oh
still think we
no,
can win him
only he
back.
can bring himself back at this point because it's really it's to the detriment of him, and he's become more extreme. And you know what? You can become extreme.
And I don't think that the inconsequential bit has any weight whatsoever, right? That's something I totally disagree with you on. He is now
Oh,
in more spaces, right? And getting like Piers
he's in more
Morgan
spaces that
interviews.
he runs. He is not in any. He is not in any. He's not being invited on as many shows as he was, where he didn't have any control. Where he is basically sitting in his own echo chamber. He is basically festering in his own farts in an elevator right
I
now.
I
It's him and
disagree.
Pisco. It's him and Pisco, with Pisco glazing him constantly, and even Pisco is starting to push back on him.
I
He's really not doing all that much.
I don't think that the metrics agree with you.
I
I don't think that the metrics would show that that's the case. I think that his level of reach and influence dwarfs a lot most people that are
okay.
even on his level, right? Even the people
So
with it's similar sub counts,
his
similar things,
reach
right?
his reach dwarfs a lot of people on on the left because he was the moderate. He actually built a sizable audience, and I used to listen to Destiny all the time. I didn't agree with his takes that often, but I like to listen to opposing rhetoric. It's one of the things I do because I don't want to be in that elevator. I don't want to be stuck in my own little bubble.
Yeah, I get you.
Uh, but it's one of those things. I am noticing he is getting less and less engagement by people outside of his bubble, and that's the problem. He was more interesting
What
when he was
metrics are
engaging with
you
people
Hold on, what
that
metrics are
he
you using to measure that, right? Because all I see is his videos getting more engagement than ever before. And I could be wrong. I haven't done a deep dive into this, right?
well. So I imagine that he's getting a lot more of the Hassan R slurs following him because he is trending more towards Hassan,
I
where he's more extreme.
I don't know if that like I would
Uh,
doubt that to be true.
I
I think Hassan still hates Destiny and
No,
Destiny still
Hassan
hates
still hates
Hassan.
him,
And I
but
think his
his
followers
audience
still
is
hate
not
Destiny.
Hassan. No, the more extreme he goes, the more he'll bring that crowd over to his. And DGG is has always been a little iffy
Well,
already.
I
I
don't have
mean,
hard and fast numbers on my fingertips here, but
but no, there was, I mean, there was a time when he would be invited to work with Shapiro. That bridge is sailed. That's done. There has been several right wing commentators and stuff that were like, yeah, it's kind of okay. Talk with Destiny, it's good debate, blah blah blah. And now they're like, no, no, they won't deal with him. He has become a pariah to many in the right wing sphere because he has endorsed political violence. He has outright endorsed it. So, I mean, you can say, but you're looking at it from a left wing perspective. I look at it from dealing outside of his area. The fact that progressive, ultra progressive Connor, who claims to be a conservative, deals with him, that means nothing. Okay, Connor's a perpetual orbiter. He'll never break free of the orbit. Um, if he's not orbiting Destiny, he's orbiting Brianna Wu. He's not going to get beyond that. And it's kind of sad because Connor is actually kind of an intelligent guy and he's got charisma.
I
But
mean, Connor was just on Hippy Dippy just a couple weeks ago, right?
and I was on the Hippy Dippy just a couple of weeks ago.
I
It's not that
guess
big a
so,
deal.
right? But here's
Yeah,
the thing: like
they'll let
this,
anyone on. I'm
I
living
would
proof.
agree with you that there are a couple people on the right who will no longer, and more the center people who Destiny has burned a bridge with, temporarily at least. Shapiro, yes. Um, Constantine, the trigonometry guys, yes. But outside of that, maybe Tim Pool, I guess too.
No, Tim Pool will not ever have him on again until
Yeah,
he
but I
denounces
don't
his
think that
pro.
this is the thing. I don't think that will matter to Destiny's reach. I don't
So it
think it
will.
will.
It will. You're looking through kind of biased eyes.
Maybe, like
Destiny,
I said,
I thought
I want to be
I
real
thought
clear.
Destiny
I don't
had
have
some
a
real
deep dive
good.
on this. I don't have any
Yeah.
like this is just my intuition here because again, just from just an intuition perspective, I see him getting bigger shows than he did last year. This time last year, he wasn't on. This time last year, he was still playing Factorio on stream.
Yes.
And now he's
So,
on a lot bigger shows with a lot bigger guests with a lot bigger names.
um, I guess. I mean, I think people like Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro, and stuff opened the door for him. The fact that Peterson sat down with him. Peterson will never deal with him again. The Daily Wire crew is pretty much done with him, which is sad. And I'm not even a big Daily Wire fan. Um, I see he is plateaued. Yes, he may be growing in left wing audience, but he's lost almost the majority of what right wing audience he had. Um, Oh, he was on Dylan Burns' show. Well, Dylan doesn't arrange anything for that show. That's all Danabo. It should be Danabo's Hippy Dippy. Dylan's just the front person. Um, let's be honest. That's the one who actually gets Hippy Dippy together. It's not
I
Dylan.
don't know
Dylan's
enough
busy.
about the inner workings of other people's shows. I can't comment. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I love Danabo. I think Danabo's a great guy. I think Dylan's a good guy, and but no, it's there are. I project after the election, he's going to drop off, and he's going to drop off pretty hard,
Okay, we'll
because people don't want
see.
to deal with him.
I don't I don't agree. I don't think he will. I think that
That's
if at
fine.
most he'll plateau, but I think that he's got more room for growth in him than most. And I'm talking people in his sphere, right? On his level, right? So most of the people with like what's he got? 750K subs or something like that now. Um,
That's all he has.
yeah, he's never been
I
above
mean,
a super,
well, so
but
he
it's
should
more
be
than he had
over he
last
should be
year.
over 1 million. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
And I
look.
think that
He's constantly putting out stuff. He's got a good infrastructure built up. He has his manservant that cooks, so he never has to get up. Um, I,
you just
he's
don't like Destiny. That's fine.
no,
I mean,
actually, I do like Destiny.
uh,
That's the sad part. I like him, and that's why I'm angry with him because he is such a horrible piece of shit that it's just like, oh man, I liked you. No, I really did like him
okay. I mean, like,
because
that's fair, but
it's you go to one when you go to that much of an extreme. And I realized it after the first assassination attempt, and when Pisco asked him, "You didn't want that to happen," he's like, "I don't know what I can answer," and I'm just like, "Yeah, okay, that guy's a piece of shit." Um, he that was his open endorsement for political violence. Um, that was the beginning of it. You know, when he had his little freak out on Piers Morgan. Um, yeah, he showed his true colors. It's really
do you think? Do you
yes.
think that
He
someone?
wished death on anyone that goes to an
That's
opposing
what that
political
again.
rally.
I disagree with his take on there. 100%. Um, do you think though that someone like that has that opinion? Do you think that maybe sometimes in the heat of the moment, because they're lost in the sauce, that they say things that maybe 6 months from now they'll be like, man, I really shouldn't have said that, and they'll change
Well,
their
you know,
positions.
we'll find out when and if he ever disavows his previous
I
statements.
think we can look. I think that again, Destiny's been worm tongued. I think that he's got people whispering in his ear that
By
have
whom,
poisoned
though?
him against a lot, right? Uh, and I think it's a lot of people whispering in his ear. It's not just one person, right? I think there's a lot of people who really, really, really just hate Republicans, right? They just do, um,
Well,
for various
I mean,
reasons. And
he has shown outward disdain for anyone with a semi-concern. I mean, he calls his own parents all kinds of slurs and stuff because they think more conservatively than him. So, I mean, when he'll sit there and show open contempt for his own mother, who is in cognitive decline, you know, and he'll mock her condition and everything else. I guess she deserves it because of her political beliefs. It just shows how shallow and
well,
utterly vapid he is.
I can't defend comments that I'm not sure the context of. I haven't really. Here's a big secret, gang. I don't watch Destiny a lot. I don't watch anyone a lot, to be clear. Um, man, like I don't know. I I'm not comfortable with writing someone off completely because they have really bad opinions, even
Oh,
deplorable
if he
opinions.
just had bad opinions, I
Yeah,
would be okay with that. I've listened to tons of bad opinions from Destiny. Reprehensible, immoral opinions I can't forgive. But when you're literally calling for political violence and making justifications for it, Um,
what's been? Hold on, like I think he said he loves his mom, right? I think I remember him saying
he
that.
does, but she's a retard.
Okay,
She's a
well I don't
fucking
care if
retard.
he.
That's what he says.
Okay, but he's
She's a
his
fucking
mom. He
retard.
gets to
And
insult
anything
her.
that happens to her, if she goes to a Trump rally and she gets shot, oh well. Those are his words. So forgive me for not being charitable, because I'm not going to be.
I am.
He's a waste of DNA.
Okay, like I said at the beginning, right, or not at the beginning, but when that we read that YouTube comment with people who were mad at me because I showed charity even to those god awful, evil, reprehensible Republicans. I'm going to show charity to Destiny too, and it's okay if you don't want me to. It's okay if
Well,
you don't like
no.
that, but
See,
that's just how
I
I
actually like
operate.
the fact. I like the fact that you're that guy.
Okay,
You're
so
the
if you
charity
like
guy.
that fact about me, why don't you try to emulate it a little bit?
I do.
Okay, good.
But
Right. So
there
I'm
are some
asking
things
you.
we have different standards. Okay, I am not going to sit there and be charitable to someone who shows utter disdain and wishes nothing but harm to those who oppose him. Like, you know what? Karma will sort him out. Karma kind of already has. I mean, if you look at his personal life, that's karma. That's really
Why are
all
we
that
bringing
is.
up people's personal lives into this? Here, you're
I'm
Christian,
just
correct?
saying, yes,
Yes.
yes, very much so.
As the scriptures say, rain falls on the righteous and the wicked alike. Right? Just
Okay.
because tragedy happens in someone's life does not mean we should
So
be using
a
that.
single tragedy, a couple of tragedies.
Do you think
Agreed.
Job was an unrighteous man? He
I
lost
think
his
Job.
family. He lost
Yeah,
everything he had over and
yes.
over again.
Mm-hmm.
Was that proof of his wickedness?
No.
Yes. So why are we applying the standard? Again, a very unchristian standard. Because again, as they ask
I
Christ,
don't.
they ask
So,
Christ, what sin did this man or his parents commit to have him cursed with this condition?
what sin? I mean, where do we begin?
This is what Jesus was asked
Where do we begin?
when Jesus was healing the blind. This is what they asked
Okay.
him. What sin did this
So,
man or his parents commit that caused him to be afflicted with blindness? And you know what Jesus said to him? Jesus said, none. He didn't sin at
well,
all.
it's
But
a
this was
physical
done
ailment, and
so
a
he could
physical
be.
ailment is not a direct deal of
Neither
sin.
is what happens to you in your family life. Not all the
Actually,
time.
a lot of things that happen to you on a personal level, at a relationship level, is a result of your actions, and your actions are what are actual sinful. Okay, his inane lust, his gooning all the time, ran his wife towards another person. Oh yeah, they had an open relationship. Yeah. Um, there is a lot of things that can be pushed back and looked at and go, no, no, he kind of asked for that. And you know what? When he was going on all these shows and defending the open marriage and stuff, I was like, oh, this is not going to end well. It never does. And well, it didn't. And so yes, I can actually go, and I don't wish harm on him. I actually wish nothing but good things for him.
Doesn't
I
sound
would.
like it.
What
It
I
really
could
does sound like you're
wait,
celebrating his downfall, what you
no,
feel.
no. I can sit there and go, what he is doing is wrong, and what is happening to him is just considering the things he has done. But that doesn't mean I'm celebrating it.
Then
See,
why I don't
you have bought into the Buddy Christ thing,
the
okay?
Buddy Christ thing. What's the
Yeah,
Buddy
Buddy
Christ thing?
Christ. So Jesus was a good man. Jesus was a holy man. Jesus was a just man. Jesus was not always nice.
Sure, he threw out the
Okay,
moneylenders, the beggars for the
I don't
temple.
buy
I get it.
into
He
Buddy
called
Christ.
he called
Okay, sometimes you
Herod a
call a spade a
slur.
spade.
Do you
Yes,
guys know that? He called Herod a slur. He called him a fox, which was a big deal back in those days. In
yeah.
fact, King Herod was the one guy that famously, never heard the voice of Christ because Christ refused, even when brought forth in chains in front of him, to say a word to this motherfucker. Okay? So yes, I'm well aware of the scriptures,
But
and I'm well aware of Christ and how he wasn't always nice. But you know what he
so
was, right?
he
he
was
was
forgiving.
kind and
He
Christ-like.
he was kind and he was forgiving to those who were repentant, but he was kind to those who were kind. He he didn't just he wasn't just blindly kind to everyone. That's the Buddy Christ fallacy, as I like to call it. It's one of those things. Are you a Christian, Wick?
I used to be.
You used to be.
I
Okay.
was
See,
a I was a Mormon. So if you count that, right?
uh,
Uh,
look, man.
but yeah, but
The whole
here's the
Mormon
deal,
thing,
right? Like
I
I
don't know
used
too
to.
much about it, so I don't judge
Sure, I
that.
get you.
I believe if you believe in Jesus Christ and the his death on the cross for the sins of humanity, I
But
believe in
like, yeah, no,
redemption,
I get
yada
you.
yada.
I
Okay.
get you. But here's the
So
thing. Like I say that to say that I'm well aware of the scriptures. I'm well aware of the doctrine as preached by Christ, right? So
yeah,
it's not something I'm a
but
stranger to.
I
And
find it funny. Okay, not funny, haha,
yeah,
funny, weird. Uh, when and you may be educated in Christianity or a form thereof, but to throw someone's religion in their face is, especially when you're not a follower and you don't believe in it, is really kind of what's the word? Hypocritical.
why is it
Now, I'm
hypocritical?
not being hypocritical to my religion. Far from it. I could sit there and look and go, hmm, person does bad things happen. Okay, that's not me relishing in their downfall. Far from it. Look, the last thing I want is suffering from anybody, but all at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and ignore the things that happen. And
I'm not
I
asking you to ignore it. What I'm
yeah
asking you
but
to do though is so for me, this is maybe a personal
mhm.
thing, right? And I'm not asking you to. No, I am. I'll just be clear. I am asking everyone to have this same line. I think it's a line that if everyone, literally everyone, adopted, including Destiny, right, the world would be a better place. We keep people's families out of it. So talking about his ex-wife, talking about his kid, talking about anything like that is a no-go zone for me, right? Like it's not something I do.
No,
I
okay,
can contend with
that's
his
fine.
arguments. I can contend
That's
with
fine.
his
And
things.
I
But
and
that's a
I
line I
I,
have,
I
and it's what I
overstepped that
ask,
line by
right?
mentioning his ex-wife.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I did mention his ex-wife.
yeah,
Um,
that's why I'm
but
reacting like I am because it's a
I
line.
was talking about his rhetoric. I was talking about his actions. I wasn't talking about how it was immoral. I was talking about the way he acts, the way that he was doing things. Yes, it seems like the downfall that he has seen, he has brought onto himself, and he can actually come out of this. I'm not saying he can't, but I find it, I just find it funny that people think that, oh, well, some of this stuff doesn't matter. No, a lot of this stuff matters. It really does. Um, I just, I was interested, when I saw the title of the deal. I figured that you would be upset about
It
the
was.
filings, okay, against Trump,
Yep.
because I've gotten a good feel for your stances and whatnot, and I find it respectable that you're actually standing up and saying that. That's why I like you. That's why I come on and talk with you.
Well,
You're an
thank you.
honest guy, and it's something I try to be as well.
Okay.
Um, and I I actually believe the things I say. Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of weird.
Fair enough.
Um,
No, that's commendable. I just in this instance. And
mhm.
see, now I'm annoyed because I know that there are going to be people out there who'd be like, he's just dick riding Destiny. No,
No,
I do not dick ride that man. I have disagreed with him more than most of you have, right?
uh,
But
and I
more
would actually
directly,
say
I
you
should
don't
say.
because you put more direct pushback. You're one of the few people on the left that will actually give him direct pushback.
But here's the deal, right?
He
Like
sits around with a bunch of bobbleheads that tell him yes all the time. You're one of the few people that'll tell him no. I
he's
find
one
that to
of
be commendable.
and what's that also speaks well of him because he gets nothing from me. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
He gets nothing from me. He
yeah.
gets no clout. He gets no advantage. He doesn't make a lot
Mm-hmm.
of money when he talks to me. In fact, he might take some hits on the
Mm-hmm.
monetized side of things. I probably said that weird, right? But the fact that this kind of gives the lie to this whole he's wanting to seek an echo chamber thing. Because why would he do that? Why would he spend time with me at all, professionally, if he wanted people who would just agree with him all the time with no pushback? And he doesn't even, like, and it's not even a thing where he brings me on to dunk on me, right? Because
No.
we had that conversation and about the Alito.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it was very reasonable. There wasn't any weird, crazy shit, right?
No, it was
super
it was
straw-manning.
actually a decent conversation. Y'all just
Exactly.
came to an immediate disagreement, and he wasn't going to move on it because I
But he
guess
could
the
have,
one.
if he wanted content, done a
Well,
lot, like a lot of
I
dunking.
think it is funny. I think it is funny that he went with the man of the house argument right off the
Yeah,
bat,
look, it's I think that the
because that's
arguments he
something he
made weren't
obviously doesn't
convincing,
believe in.
right? I don't think the arguments. Of course, I'm going to say this, right? But the arguments he made weren't convincing. I think that I got the better in the ad exchange. But I'm going to think that, right?
I
Because
think you did too.
yeah, we just have that position, right? However, had he wanted to make content out of it, had he wanted to explode, had he wanted to burn the bridge or do some straw manning and dunking, he very well could have, but he did not. And I think that shows that is indicative that this portrayal that you have of him, I think is I won't say dishonest, it's not, because I think you really believe this. I just think it's wrong. But $20,
We
hold
can
on real quick.
disagree. Yeah.
Yeah, $20 from Warpio says, this guy says, I don't wish harm upon Destiny, but I do think his downfall was just. He had it coming. Yet, he has a problem with Destiny making that exact argument about the Trump rally shooting victim. Hypocrite much? You want to respond to that
No.
before we
Yes,
cycle?
I will gladly. I would
Respond.
gladly respond to that. So, a person attending a political rally and being shot. What actions did that man do to warrant being shot? Is going to a political rally warranting of being shot? No. Someone actually doing harm to others and then being harmed by those people that he is harmed, that is just.
Okay.
So, just because no. See, this is stupid. It's a dumb argument. It's a dumb accusation, and you should feel bad for having wasted $20 Canadian. You could have said something good about Wick. Instead, you tried to come at me
Donating
with
to
some
me
straw
is
man you
never a
built up.
waste. I'll put that out there. Never a waste. You can
love
say
Wick.
whatever you like. If you give me $20, you say whatever you like, baby. I'll read it. But thanks for calling in, Crop Duster. We're gonna cycle you out.
Later.
Bye-bye. Bye. Wait. Maybe I need to do. I know a lot of you guys are annoyed at this when I do this. Maybe I need to do a Christian stream where I just kind of talk about what Christianity is. The whole thing is, if we define being a Christian as someone who tries to follow Christ's example, then I am still a Christian because I try. I think that whether or not he was the divine Son of God doesn't matter at the end of the day. The question we must have, if we emulate his example, will it make the world a better place? I think yes. And so I strive to follow that example. Here you go. Bring on the next caller. Hello, you're live.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, I'm here.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. Just give me a sec. I'm doing this on the phone, so if you don't mind.
Oh, well, we can hear you. So what do you got?
Give me a sec. I'm going to turn off the stream. It's working now.
Okay.
Is it working?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, no. So I just have. Here's the thing. I think everyone can sort of agree that on the point of the lawsuit that's happening right now. Perfectly, you're correct. That honestly, it seems a bit silly, but at the same time, I feel like it's just the feeling that it's morally feels good to do, but legally you shouldn't do it because there's no leg to stand on.
Why do you think it's good morally? Well, do you think it's good morally?
I feel kind of, because I feel like if you lie, there should be something. There should be some sort of like backlash on lying.
There should be a consequence.
In such, yeah, so some sort of consequences, especially such aggressive lying. No, aggressive is the wrong word, but erroneous. Like, there's actually now bomb threats or people like maybe harming or name calling. This is like the kung fu COVID thing all over again, like where you just like making a certain demographic, you paint a big target over their head, but because of a lie, seems a bit like there must be some sort of backlash out of this. That's out of it. That's not just like, hey, he's pretty bad.
Yeah, I get you. I'll agree with you and I'll disagree with you. And so here's where we agree. I think that yes, if you lie and get caught lying, there should be a consequence. The disagreement will become on what that consequence should be and whether or not the government should be involved in that consequence. I don't think the government should be involved in that consequence, and I don't think the consequence should be criminal charges, right? I think that if you lie and you get caught lying, okay, outside of certain instances like the Brandenburg test, which we talked about earlier, where you're purposely trying to incite and are likely to incite imminent lawless action, right? But simply spreading a lie should not result in fines, or criminal fines or criminal liability. It might civilly, but there's a very high threshold for a good reason on why we should have high thresholds. But I guess the question I would ask for you, or I would have for you, is what happens when we set a precedent that if you file, let me use this example. A woman who files a rape charge against someone, right? They accuse them of rape. Turns out the guy didn't actually rape her, and it's proven in court. Do you think that they should charge her or she should be held criminally liable in any way? Why or why not?
I feel like it's okay. So I think a lot of it will eventually come into intent. So I feel like, there's no way we can't mind read, but we can, based on certain evidence, see like how much did she really like, were her friends egging her on? Did she like it all until like this after was this regret sex, or was this there's a lot of ways to sort of mingle whether or not it was actually sexual assault or not. So we found out, she actually thought it was sexual assault. Then I think no. But if you found out, oh no, she kind of enjoyed it all the way after the sex, then I think it's more fair to punish her, because it all comes down to intent, I think. But I understand the issue of saying like, hey, can we punish a liar if they really believe in their heart of hearts? I understand where you're coming from there, but yeah.
Well, the reason why it's a bad idea, even if there are some people who abuse this.
I'm guessing you mean defer, like because it like you scare other people from coming out and saying
it creates a chilling effect, because women who honestly were raped will be less likely to come forward because they fear that if it is somehow proven in court that they were wrong, that they will face some kind of criminal charge, and this will stifle people from being able to come forward, and that the harm of that outweighs what benefit we would get from criminalizing a wrongful charge or anything.
I think the issue is there needs to be some sort of balancing act, because I think because I was having a discussion earlier in your chat in regard to like we must have a bit more good faith actor using free speech, and we must kind of sort of not punish, but we kind of have to target pointing out people that are using free speech in a negative way, because the problem is eventually if we allow a lot of like people flagrantly using free speech or abuse free speech, then the normies, everyone else would sort of feel like they don't feel free speech is that great, because like if you allow everyone to abuse free speech, then eventually everyone's like, well, why do we need free speech? It seems to do more harm than good. You need to have this image, or at least the vibe, that free speech is very important for people to actually support free speech. Otherwise, you would just be the lone man who thinks free speech is important, but when no one else
Do you
else, supports it.
disagree with the Skokie trial, the ACLU's position in the Skokie trial? Are you familiar with that case?
Is it the Nazi
In a Jewish
parading in like a
community, the
Jewish neighbor?
Nazis in the
Yeah,
70s, I
I
think it was the 70s, they
yeah,
held a just for my audience, right? They held a protest in a Jewish community, or they sought to. The Jewish community tried to sue to make it so that they couldn't. The ACLU in that time was headed by a Holocaust survivor. Okay, so not just someone who was Jewish, but someone who literally survived the Holocaust in Nazi Germany. Okay, they decided to uphold the Nazis' right in order to protest in that Jewish community. Do you disagree with that stance?
I think it was a good decision at the end of the day, but I feel like there are sometimes battles you have to pick and choose. You can't always go. It's hard to always go for free, 100% free speech, because then I don't know how to word it, but like I feel like while the case is good, I feel like you can't do it all the time. Otherwise, if everyone feels like free speech is used for people that are allowed to spew hateful rhetoric, then eventually it just become you kind of rot the idea of no one really would like free speech, because that's why you see a lot of like young people and they're like coming out of college. We had like a whole generation of Hassan fans are like, oh, I hate, free speech is pointless. You allow all the racism, because they don't feel like they don't feel the benefit of free speech. You gotta there needs to be a way
to be clear. The Hassan fans are mad because Jews got to speak freely. And I don't think that
but I mean, like the younger generation. A few years ago when we had the sort of anti-SJW kind of era, back then we had the SJWs were like, hey, free speech is really bad because it allows all the racism and whatnot. We don't want that generation. We want more people to like free speech. So there needs to be, sometimes we have to sort of curtail what we do allow at the end of the day, because if everyone hates free speech, or we have a generation that just hates free speech, it doesn't matter how principled you are, you won't find any supporters.
I don't.
That's my
sure,
stance
I get
at least.
you.
Yeah.
I think that to limit the stance of limiting free speech to save free speech while well-intentioned is a losing game. It will create this slippery slope where we keep adding limitations in order to protect free speech. For me, my opinion is the shield that protects the speech we hate also protects the speech we think should be protected. The free speech laws, much like welfare, much like a lot of other social programs, which are abused, to be clear, there are people who abuse these social programs, but we don't destroy those programs just because there are some people who abuse them, because there are so many, much more than those who abuse them, that actually need those programs. And free speech is much the same way. I think that the shield that protects someone like JD Vance from spewing stuff about Ohio protects me when I say I think Trump is a threat to the United States Constitution. Right?
Would you then fair to say that maybe whilst we shouldn't like punish them, like legally speaking, we should as a sort of community of Americans, or people outside, because I'm sorry, I'm a Brit bonger, that we also need to point out, hey, yeah, it's late for me.
I understand you've been Brit washed. Okay, I get
you. Exactly. We made the Magna Carta for you guys to have.
Do you think that Britain right now is in a good state when it comes to free speech?
It's it has its issues, but I feel like in regards compared to Europe, it's better. We're kind of like in between you guys. We don't have absolute
fair enough.
free
You're
speech,
better than the rest of Europe. Fair enough. I'll give you that one. But Britain is not in a very good place right now when it comes to free speech. There's a lot of issues when it comes
I just
to
feel like this
freedom.
is like because of how good you Americans have free speech. I've been in Asia. I've been in countries in Asia where free speech just isn't really that much of a thing. So I feel like you guys have it so good that
worse. So it's one of the reasons countries are worse.
Exactly. So sometimes I feel like you have it so good that maybe when compared to everyone else, you just see everyone as trash, because you're just like kind of like you're top one in free speech, but then when everyone else is kind of like, well, it's not that bad, because Yeah, like you're too high on the average. You don't see you don't see how the rest of the world live.
Yeah, $5 from Rabid Wombat to say, if this was the 50s, this guy would be saying, we need to build separate public bathrooms for blacks so we can ensure whites support public bathrooms. Thank you for the $5.
Oof, that's harsh. But maybe I know, like I understand it's it's a conversation with many sides, but I'm just thinking sometimes we have to you have to be convincing as well. Principles only matter
You're right.
to a degree.
You have to be
so
able to convince others that you're correct, and free speech
Yeah.
helps us do that.
Oh, of course. I'm just saying sometimes sometimes you just have to pick your battles. At least yeah. But I agree. Would you mind if I could talk about a bit of what aircraft was speaking on?
Briefly, then we got to cycle.
Okay. Oh yeah. You know what? I actually forgot. Never mind. I'll just leave it. Maybe next time. Maybe next time when I remember.
Time.
Sorry.
Thank you for calling in. Enjoy.
It's my first time calling in.
No, well,
Yep.
no, we appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we will talk to you later, buddy.
Bye.
Nice enough, gentlemen. I think. Nice enough, gentlemen. But unfortunately, British people are second-class citizens when it comes to free speech. Then you have the third world, which is like China and stuff, right? When it comes to free speech, speaking, right? But yeah, like I don't mind being called elitist for my position on free speech, because I do think that America, at least when it comes to free speech, is better than those other countries. I don't apologize for it. It is. I would not trade the First Amendment for whatever Canada or Britain has. It would be a bad trade. But yes. Oh man, lots to talk about today, gang. Lots to talk about. Have you guys been enjoying this call-in show? Have you been having fun? I hope you have, dear viewer. I hope you have. Okay? Because I've had fun having this call-in show. I want to talk a little bit more about the age gap stuff, though. I know, we're switching gears, but I think I've covered an hour and a half of free speech stuff. It's time for some age gap discourse. Okay. I'm on thin ice. Why I'm on thin ice? Roland Stott says, gay. Well, thank you for your contribution. Who here, raise your hand, because I got a lot of pushback on this on Twitter. Ben Stiller says, for real, kind of here because Destiny stopped streaming. Well, welcome here. I'm glad you did. Glad you stopped by. But who here disagrees with me on my take on the issue regarding Chud logic? So for those of you who weren't aware, who need a refresher, let me remind you. We'll watch the clip again.
But this Chud Logic guy, I called him a pedophile for, I think, more tangible reasons. He was horny texting an 18-year-old fan of his in his Discord. He was in his mid-30s. They got on my ass saying the fact that she's 18 makes this chill. But even this guy knows it's weird for a 35-plus-year-old man to be talking like this to an 18-year-old. He's not a pedophile. He's an ephebophile and a weirdo and a groomer.
No. So, to be clear, my opinion on all of that is that's bullshit. Bullshit. A ephebophile? Bullshit. Groomer? Bullshit. It's just bullshit. You can think it's weird. Okay. There's a lot of stuff I think is weird that I don't think should be illegal or that people should be castigated for or dragged for or condemned for. There's look, a lot of y'all folks are weird when it comes to your sexual stuff. It's a lot. It's weird. Why would you? Right? Why would you choose what you do sexually? Right? It's weird to me. It's super weird. But I should not be the arbiter of what is okay or not okay in other adults' sex lives. we're leaving out abuse. We're leaving out the rape stuff. We're leaving out all that, right? We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about two consenting adults sexting. Cybering, as they used to say back in my day, right? Look, I know that the video itself, because I watched some of the video he put out, Noah Samson put out, has like some of the logs, but I refuse to keep that information in my brain. I have no desire to read sex logs of other streamers. Oh my God, I would throw up in my mouth. It's never okay to it's never okay to show me the sex logs of other streamers. It's gross. It's yucky. It's weird, dare I say, right? But this idea that we can morally police other adults consenting decisions like this, again, this isn't even, this is such a nothing. This is such a nothing. And I hate that I have to talk about this, but I do, because when I tweeted just a tweet about this, that, oh, this is just a fucking nothing burger, basically, is what I said. So many people got on my ass saying, oh my God, the age gap, it was so wrong. It was so weird. So my question to you, dear audience, are any of you among that number? Are any of you among the number that think that what Mr. Logic did was condemnable in this instance? If you are among that number, please call in. Let's have a discussion. Saxon says it is weird. Fair enough. But do you think it's condemnable weird, right? Mantis says she didn't seem to be reciprocating much. Like I said, I just info dumped that information from my brain. I removed it, so I don't even have to think about it. Being bad at sexting, is that a crime? Is that a crime, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think so. Roland Stott says, as I said, Wick, whoever was talking, gay point. Solemn Argus says, the same people crying about age gap are the same people in the scat playing water sports? Ooh, gross. Also weird things. But, look, you do you, boo-boo. I wonder what they would take on this person, this lady who was sexting with Chud Logic. What if she had started an OnlyFans? Would they say that that's not okay? Because I guarantee you, there are people that are much older than her that will subscribe to and participate in her OnlyFans. Chud's a creep. I think Chud Logic goes after people for less, that's all. Chud's a creep. Is that what you're saying? Here's the deal. This I hate this logic, right? Because even if I would agree with that, and I don't know if I do, but even if I agree with that, that doesn't make it okay to do to him. Does that make sense? Even if I were to grant you that, right? That Chud has gone over after people for less. Okay, that's wrong when he did it. It's also wrong when people do it to him. It's just wrong. It's just not okay. And this is the frustration I have with most discourse, okay? With most people, right? Is they want to have a different standard of rules for how they treat the people they like versus the people they don't like. And I get it. It's a very human thing. But it's something I think we got to fight against a little bit, right? If someone does a bad thing, it's bad. Everyone will have the hell of it is, gang, everyone's got their reasons, okay? Everyone will try to justify their bad thing. They will. I'll do it. I don't know. Rabid Wombat says, What's the difference between shaming the 35-year-old until the relationship is broken versus shaming the 18-year-old? Either way, we're infringing on her autonomy to make her own adult decisions. We're against that, right? What are you talking about, Saxon? Oh my God, in Congress, the 2025 dudes were before the House, and oh my God, that is a bad rule book. I didn't see that. Solemn Argus, what are you doing? Solemn Argus says, are the most desirable ages of a female for reproductive values not the ages of 18 to 25? Because I'm quite sure they are. And that's not just for the guys that are also 18 to 25. Okay. I don't want to get into that discourse. Alex, hey Wick, how are you doing, brother? From a first time chatter. I'm doing okay actually. Been better, been worse. Here we are. I don't know. I think that like there's this eye for an eye that everyone always wants, right? To a certain extent, because it's a human nature. We want to punish the bad people, and the bad people being those that are against us. But when we do bad things, we always justify it. We always do. And that's what we go for, right? We can do the bad thing because of X, Y, and Z conditions. And they, however, can't do the bad thing because of A, B, and C, right? Now, the hell of it is, sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's correct, right? And we have a whole moral system and a legal system even that takes that into account. We take context into account. But the context here in this age gap situation isn't enough to change how we should view this. If an 18-year-old wants to fuck a 400-year-old, if an 18-year-old wants to fuck a 100-year-old dude, if an 18-year-old dude wants to fuck a 100-year-old woman, I have a question. How many of you who thinks it's weird would also think it's weird if an 18-year-old dude was fucking a cougar? If it was a 35-year-old lady who slid into some 18-year-old DMs, right? And they started sexting. Would you find that equally weird? I would. Ben Stiller says, what you feel if you had an 18-year-old daughter DMing Chud Logic? So first of all, if I had an 18-year-old daughter, I'd be shocked, okay? There'd be a lot, right? But here's the thing. It does not matter how I feel about it because at 18, my daughter is an adult. And regardless of what I think of her decisions, she gets to make those decisions. So, if my daughter at 18 years old wanted to sext with Chud Logic, gross, but that's all, right? Gross. Ew. Ew. I would have no right to condemn either party. Not on a moral grounds. On a taste grounds, absolutely. Absolutely, right? But on a moral grounds, no. And this is the thing here, gang. And thank you for the honesty. Toby1 Kenobi says, I wouldn't find it as weird. Thank you for that audience. Honesty. I appreciate you. Oh, then he says, because there are differences between men and women. What is the difference between a man and a woman that makes it so that you would find it less weird or less ew if a 35-year-old woman was sexting with an 18-year-old man than with a 35-year-old man sexting with an 18-year-old woman? What's the biological difference that you would find makes the difference in your estimation here? I'm very curious. Men hunt more than women do, so it's a different standard? Yo, I don't know if that's true. Women only don't hunt as much as men do in this case, in this context, because they don't have to. But I promise you, women hunt a lot, right? They're always looking, okay? They're always got their eye out. Yeah? Now, yes, societally wise, it is more common for the man to pursue the woman, but that's by a matter of necessity, right? Men have less options in general. Women are the gatekeepers of sex in a lot of ways. He might mean gun hunting. I don't think he means gun hunting. Oh, do you? Toby-Wan Kenobi says, yes, looking is different than hunting. How? What's the difference? Wick pushing that hypergamy? What? I don't think it's hypergamy. Hypergamy? I don't know how to say that word. I'm very bad at pronouncing words, gang. Why is it hypergamy? Am I misunderstanding this word? Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not thinking of another word. No, I was right. Just a social science term that refers to the practice of marrying or dating up, right? Dating someone with a higher social status or sexual capital. Well, yeah, I don't think that this applies to the age gap situation. There are plenty of 18-year-olds with a higher social status than me, right? I don't have very high social status. To be clear, also, there's a reason I wouldn't pursue an 18-year-old, but it has nothing to do with the weird stuff or it being weird. One of the reasons I wouldn't pursue an 18-year-old, because they're boring, because they're annoying. Why would I ever deal with that? Oh, God, have you ever listened to an 18-year-old for more than 5 minutes? It grates on the nerves. God damn, they're stupid. $10 for Per Thompson. Gonna be hard to find a lot of people agreeing with Noah, I think. We can think it's weird that Chud did what he did, but that's just yucking his yum and hers. Fair enough. Frozen Knight says, when I was younger, I was with a lot of older women. Yeah? Maybe these socially tarded guys nowadays might have issues, but if you can be forward and know how to flirt, you can easily get older women. Frozen Knight, red pill arc, when? Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that little humble brag there. Well, I don't even know if that's a humble brag, right? That's just bragging. Like, yeah, when I was younger, I used to get all the cougars, bros. Just lining them up. So again, like, I don't think the age gap matters. As long as you meet that minimum threshold, as long as you're an adult, you should be free to date whoever you please. As long as everyone is an adult in that situation. If an 18-year-old wants to have a relationship with a 60-year-old, that's not my business. That's their choice. That's their decision. I can think it's a wrong decision. I can think it's a weird decision, but I don't get to make that decision. And unless this 60-year-old dude had been messaging her since she was like 15 fucking years old or something, it's not grooming either. Ben Stiller says, I think the difference in men versus women for age gap relationships probably because it had seen a lot of those older men usually have more power in the dynamic, ? Not all the time, obviously, but it makes people assume that there's some form of manipulation going on. There might be, but it also might be on the side of the 18-year-old who is manipulating that dude to get all his money. Yes, that might happen, but that's true in any relationship, regardless of age gap, that when there is a big disparity of, well, it doesn't even have to be a big disparity. When there's something that someone wants from another person, they might manipulate the other person into getting what they want, right? But here's the thing. That's true with almost all interactions. right? Here, I'll give you an example. Your audience, guess what? I'm manipulating you right now. I'm manipulating you because I want something from you. What do I want? I want your attention. I want your time. I want you to listen to me. I want you to adopt the ideas that I have, right? I want you to share your ideas with me so the good ones I can adopt as well. I want your money. I want you to sub to my channel. I want you to super chat me. And in order to get what I want, I am saying things. I am doing things. I'm manipulating you, dear viewer. Is that wrong? No, it's normal. It's how we interact. I'm just using scary words to describe the situation. I'm using scary words to describe a completely normal situation that we all do all the time in all interactions. And you know what? That's okay. There are times when manipulation crosses a line to be an issue, but an 18-year-old looking sexy so that she could sext a 30-year-old, or a 30-year-old trying to charm an 18-year-old to sexting them isn't one of those times. It's just not. Frozen Knight says, Wick, you had me at your shirtless pick back when you started. Oh, thank you. Night of Day says, Wick is voting Republican in 2 years. No, there would have to be a huge shift in the Republican Party for me to even consider. A lot would have to change. But yes, I'm using scary words to describe a situation, right? And that's what Noah Samson was doing. He's using scary words to describe something that's just is what it is. Zach says, do you genuinely believe that in these situations, manipulation will be girl to boy as often as boy to girl, and 60-year-old dudes and 18-year-old females? Is it even 50-50 or maybe skewed in one direction? So my intuition says that if I'm looking at a relationship and I see an 18-year-old hottie with a 16-year-old rich dude, 9 times out of 10, first of all, they're both manipulating the shit out of each other. That relationship, like all relationships, is transactional. But the transaction's a little different. The 18-year-old is getting money, right? Maybe not directly, probably not directly, but they are getting access to money. Whereas the 16-year-old is getting access to an 18-year-old body. Do I think that's bad? No. I don't. If they are both making that decision and choice, power to the people, brother. You live your best life, sister. Right? As long as everyone knows what they're involved in, as long as everything's on the table, it's all good in the hood, baby. You're both adults? Cool, game on. Ben Stiller says, I feel like you're exaggerating how much manipulation goes on in relationships. I am being hyperbolic with the words I'm using, yes. I'm using scary words to describe normal interactions. Yeah. Zach says, the power dynamic of one controlling the food and housing while the other controls access to sex is uneven. Depends. Like, if an 18-year-old is hot enough to get some 60-year-old to put them up room and board, right? And just spend a bunch of money on them, they're probably hot enough to find several people willing to do that. Whereas the 60-year-old may or may not, right, have enough resources. You know what? Actually, no. If the 60-year-old is rich enough to afford that kind of transaction, they're probably rich enough to afford another 18-year-old if they wanted to, right? So honestly, I think that breaks even in terms of biodynamics, right? In terms of access. But yeah. So are you okay with someone talking to a 17-year-old sexually? No. Because why? They're not an adult. Why does it matter? Because adults, when you hit 18, and this is the age we've decided on, right, as a society, when you hit 18, you have certain rights and responsibilities that you did not even the day before, even an hour before you hit that 18 mark. You did not have certain access to rights and responsibilities that once you do hit that 18, that hour mark, that literal second before, right, that you now have. That makes a difference. We have to draw a line somewhere? Yeah. So, again, this isn't a doctor disrespect situation. Both people were involved. We're adults. So they get to be adults. Okay, gang. Ugh. If you've enjoyed this content, I might, Ben Stiller. Also, if the law changed to 21, I might change my mind too. Right? We do have to draw arbitrary lines. There are some lines I wouldn't be okay with. Like if we tried to lower it to 13 or some shit. If we tried to say a 13-year-old is an adult, I would laugh at you and think you were gross. But I think reasonable people can argue where we should have these cutoffs within a reasonable range. Anything under 16 is unreasonable. Even 16's cutting it close. Cutting it close. Now I'm looking at you with suspicion, right? But if you want to argue, oh, I think 17-year-olds should be able to vote and be able to be registered for the draft and be able to enter into contracts and things like that instead of 18, okay, we can have that discussion. But until that law changes, these are the facts of the matter. These are the circumstances of the world we live in. And as much as we would like it to be otherwise, not. You wanted to give me an argument, and some have, that 18 is too young, that we should change it to 21. If you want to do that, then a 19 to 20-year-old shouldn't be able to enter the military, sign any binding contracts. They should still be subject to their parents' wishes, right, to a certain degree. You could argue that that should be the case. I disagree with you, right? I think 18 is spot on, honestly. It's pretty spot on. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah. Okay, gang. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the bits. Keep giving me subs and keep giving me bits. If you enjoyed the show, you got to reward me financially for it, gang, okay? We got great shows coming up. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about women again. Are they invading men's spaces? Are they pushing men's hobbies to be more feminine? We have a great group to discuss. It should be a fun talk. It should be a fun discussion. Okay. Then on Friday, we're going to be talking. I almost forgot what we were going to talk about. Hold on. I got it listed here. Oh, yes. Friday. Is Trump being sane-washed by the media? Are media outlets, in order to perpetuate a horse race, sane-washing Trump? What does that even mean? Come on by. We're going to talk. We're going to chat. It's going to be a fun discussion. Should be great. Then next week on Monday, we're going to have Fairy Queen. We're going to have Baz FS. We're going to have Champ. We're going to have a few others. We're going to be talking about men. Are they the most oppressed class? Recently, I don't know if you all saw it. Recently, there was a bit of a kerfuffle over a little bit of a... Here, let me show you. Okay, Let me show you. I'll let you see. Oh man, too many notifications. Okay, here we go. There's a tweet made, and I tested it out last night. So if you can't read, okay, on one side, why is my husband yelling at me? You get the domestic abuse hotline. On the other side, why is my wife yelling at me? Then you get this. Potential triggers for wife's yelling include feeling unheard, financial stress, mental health struggles, disrespect. Last night, I tested it, and I got the exact same result as this guy did. This morning, I tested it again, and it had changed. So they both, neither gets a domestic abuse. And now both get some kind of ad thing, right? So we kind of solved it already, but I think it's still worth discussing because, here, I'll just say it. I don't think men's issues are taken seriously. I don't think men's issues are taken seriously. And I think that we are okay with harm being done to men in a way that we wouldn't be with women. That doesn't mean that men are the most oppressed class or not. Women face oppression in different ways in a wide variety of cases. But that doesn't change the fact that in some ways, men do have it worse off than women. I think this is one of them. So we're going to be talking about that on Monday. It'll be fun. I love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.